everyday witches emerge from the shadows of secrecy. Broom closets are flinging open and witches are taking flight. Whether you are hiding in your cozy closet or flying with pride, stay for a spell as Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon and her guests share magical moments, stir the cauldron, and debunk misinformation and misconceptions about paganism, witches, and our wonderful world of magic.
Welcome back to another episode of Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. My special guest today is Cindy Hallett, and she is the Entity Doctor. Welcome, Cindy. I'm really curious, what is an Entity Doctor?
An Entity Doctor is somebody who is able to detect external entities that are attached to people, places, and things. We can tell you what type of entities they are, how many of them there are, and what kind they are, and if they're extremely powerful or dangerous. I can detect and repair damage to the soul from any lifetime, remove spells, seal portals, and address various other issues.
Wow. So what happens if you have an attached entity?
Have you been wanting to ride your broom like you stole it, rather than hiding in the shadows? Theodora Pendragon is here to help your magic shine, whether you want to show the world your subtle sparkle, or you really want to light your fire. Visit Theodora's online store at witchcasting.shop. That's witchcasting.shop. Remember, there's never been a better time to be a witch.
If you have a negative attached entity, the bad ones want you to feel as bad as possible. They get paid or fed off of your negative energy. So their goal is to make you feel as bad as possible. Now, they don't want you to know they're there. They're very stealthy. So they just want you to feel depressed, angry, suicidal, addicted, just any negative emotion. And that's how they get their nutrients. Angels, on the other hand, get their nutrients from our positive energy, our love, our laughter, our joy, our happiness. So you get to choose by your mood who you are enforcing, who you are supporting, your angels or the bad guys.
Do we all have entities?
No, we don't all have entities. As a matter of fact, people who are very young souls, if they're in their first few lifetimes, they generally don't get entities. I find these people standing in the middle of portals and all of their loved ones are loaded with entities and it's like standing in a spiritual hurricane and they're completely dry. It's really wild. People can come into this life with entities attached to them. I've cleared 4 underworlds off of a fetus one time. She was going to come in and be just a pistol. And also she had the negative entities. So we took care of the negative entities. So now she's just the pistol.
So how do you know if there's a negative entity attached to someone? How would I know if it's attached to me?
You would need to get a consultation and you would generally feel it. You would say, I don't know why I'm so upset or I'm so angry or I'm so depressed. I have no idea why this is happening to me. And you might feel a little bit out of control. So at that time, you would contact an entity doctor or possibly a shaman. So they do this too. And ask them for a consultation and get kind of a physical, get a checkup and make sure that you are clear. If you're not clear, then that practitioner will tell you what you have, how many of each, and what it would take to remove those from you. Usually once people get their entities removed, they say they feel calmer, they feel lighter, they feel happier, they feel more at peace. So if you're feeling the opposite of that, you might want to get a checkup.
If someone feels troubled, as you said, depressed, that would be a clue that there would be an entity attached.
It's entirely possible, yes. I mean, there are other reasons to feel depressed, but that's certainly one of the reasons. I have a lot of clients who call me and say, I've been to all the doctors. I don't know what's the matter. They can't find anything at all. And sure enough, they have a lot of the problems. So maybe it's easier to get the spiritual checkup before you get the physical checkup. A lot less painful that way.
Would that explain people who have addictions?
People who have addictions almost always have a lot of negative entities. Now, the question is, what came first, the negative entity or the addiction? Because the negative entities want you to feel as bad as possible. They want you to get addicted to alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, whatever, food, whatever is your vice. And be ashamed of yourself and feel bad about yourself and be out of control. That is what makes them happy.
And that's what you mean by them feeding off of you.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. On the other hand, you might have already been prone to the addiction. Maybe it's your heredity or whatever. And then the entities kind of glom on and go, ooh, yum, smorgasbord. And here they come. So
it's not funny, but it's funny, right? The way you put it.
We have to keep the lightheartedness. This is kind of a severe subject. So we want to stay joyful all around it if we can.
What's the difference between energies and entities?
That's an excellent question. Thank you for asking me that. A lot of people, if they have negative entities, they call me and they say, I've done sage, I've done holy water, I've done all of this stuff. Well, that's great for negative energy. Negative energy can happen if you have an argument, you have a fight with somebody in your home, and that negative energy lingers. It can happen if you are just feeling bad and you kind of exude that energy and it kind of hangs out like a bad smell in the room. And then that is going to work, the sage, the holy water, that kind of thing. The way I like to explain it is, imagine energy is the sunshine coming through your window. And if you don't want that to happen, you can just pull down the shade. Imagine a negative entity, which is an attachment, a sentient being with motives that may not be conducive to your motives, as a mongoose running around your living room. You can pull down the shade, but that's not going to get rid of that mongoose. You got to get that warden out there and trap that puppy and get him out of your home. So that's why it takes an entity doctor to actually come along and remove those negative entities.
How did you become an entity doctor?
Merely by accident. I was on a tour with my mother in France, and I met this captain and of the little riverboat we were on. And one night he asked me he had the captain's dinner, and my mom and I were invited to his table, and he danced with me all night, and I just couldn't get him out of my mind. I don't know why. I'm happily married, and I don't speak any French, so I don't want a bilingual, a transcontinental affair. That just didn't work for me. So I went to the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, and I'd never been to one, and I don't know why I went. One of those, why am I here kind of things. And I met my first teacher, and she did a reading for me, and I asked her, why do I have these feelings? And she said, well, in a former life, you were lovers, and you died and left him with abandonment issues, and you made an agreement before you came back that he would come along when you were middle-aged and he would wake you up. And here you are. And she said, by the way, I give classes. And I'm like, oh dear, well, I live way out. She said, well, she ended up living 2 miles from me. So I took classes, and I finished with her class, and I continued with my classes. And I met a lady, and she looked at me and she said, I think you would be good with the negative entities. And I said, negative entities? I didn't even consider that before. I wanted to be a medium. Medium sounds glamorous, right? It sounds really neat. And I said, well, isn't that kind of the garbage collector of the metaphysical world? And she said, that's what you're good at. So here I am, the garbage collector of the metaphysical world, getting rid of all the nasty ones and the bad ones and the ugly and strong ones. So
she pretty much told you what your specialty is.
She did. And she's a great medium. She's a very powerful medium.
What did you do with the captain?
I let him go.
Oh. I guess in your next lifetime, you'll have to pick up where you left off because something wasn't resolved there.
Yeah, probably. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's a long way away. I hope.
What does vibration have to do with any of these entities and energies?
Okay. Vibration. The bad entities love low vibrational people, which are people that are not very spiritual. They're not very aware. They have a lot of focusing on themselves.
They're vampires.
Yes, kind of energy vampires. The addicted, the ones that you were referring to, the people that are not very open to others' needs and wants. The higher your vibration rises, the more you are able to connect with your guides and angels. You have to also be careful, and this happened to me, is as my vibration began to rise, I got more attention from both sides, the light and the dark. And a lot of the times, especially the dark, will recognize you as a potential threat. And if you get strong enough, you can be an any doctor and really mess up their day. They want to keep you down. They want to scare you. They want to keep you away from your gifts. And it's up to you whether you want to endure that or not.
Does everyone have spiritual gifts?
Everyone has spiritual gifts. Everybody is psychic in some way. There are 6 different ways you can be psychic, and you have one that is your strongest way. And you probably know what that is, although most people are so accustomed to hearing things or seeing things or knowing things that it's just second nature to them. They just feel, well, that's just natural, and not recognize them as their guides and angels giving them information. So one thing that we talk about is how to recognize and be aware of the energy around you, and how to control that energy and pull it into your gifts and use it for good.
Can you tell us what those 6 gifts are?
Yes. So the 6 gifts are clairvoyance is one. Now, sometimes clairvoyance is used to mean all of it, but clairvoyance is clear vision. Clair means clear in French. So clairvoyance is clear vision. People see. They see pictures or flashes of information. They might see an entire movie. They might see just a section of things going by. Usually when people see, they see things in their third eye. They see things inside their mind. They might think it's their imagination. And let's face it, imagination is a powerful tool. It is not something that we're just making up. Other people can see outside of themselves. I once had a friend sitting in my living room, and she asked if my chimney went all the way to the top or to the roof. And I said, yes, it does. And she said, that's good, because somebody just came down and walked across your living room. I'm sure that person was totally benign. They didn't mean any harm. They were just getting where they needed to go. And it didn't bother me at all. So that's clairvoyance, clear seeing. And again, you can either see inside your mind's eye or outside your mind's eye. The second one is clairaudience, which is clear hearing. And a lot of times you'll hear your name, you will hear a message, you'll hear a word or a symbol, a whisper. Sometimes you hear a shout. Sometimes you just get a sentence. So again, and most of the time it's within the mind's ear. So inside your head. Very rarely, but it does happen where you hear things outside of your head. You hear things like a noise within the room that nobody else heard or isn't actually have a source. The third one is called clairgustance. Clairgustance is clear tasting, and you might taste grandma's cookies, the cookies that she used to make for you when you were little, and you miss grandma, and then all of a sudden you realize grandma's here with me. So clear tasting, that's one of them as well. Clairolfactance or clairalliance is clear smelling. You might smell something. You might smell somebody's cologne that you used to date or your grandfather wore. I had a friend who took in a boarder who was having a lot of trouble, and her dad was with her, and her dad was a horrible smoker. She came to me at a fair one time and she said, I don't know who's in my house, but they're a horrible smoker and they have to go. So it's not always pleasant tastes and smells that we get. I can tell you that. The fifth one is clairsentience. Clairsentience is clear feeling. And that's usually the strongest one in most people. If you pass somebody in the grocery store and all of a sudden you're feeling what they felt, if they're angry or if they're frustrated or if they're sad, and all of a sudden you feel the same thing and you don't know why, that's clairsentience. It's also empathy, being an empath. I can feel things, but only if I tune into somebody. It's not if I just pass you in the grocery store. I have to focus on you and I have to be invited into your energy field, and then I can feel that kind of thing. And the last one is my forte is called claircognizance, and that's clear knowing. It's knowing things without any reason to know them. To look at a pregnant woman and going, I had an argument with a coworker, and she came and she said, I'm having a girl. And I said, no, you're not. You're having a boy. And we went back and forth and back and forth. She said, no, I just had the sonogram and the doctor said it's a girl. And I said, it's not a girl. And she came back a week later and she said, you were right. So it's just knowing things where you have no business knowing them. Having somebody looking for a friend on the road and knowing who that is and saying, is that person, never having met them before. Clear knowing. Claircognizance. So those are the 6 gifts that we have. You will find that you have one that is dominant to the others. We all have a little bit of everything. I had another lady who came to me at a fair and she said, I want to see. I'm trying so hard to see and I just can't do it. I don't know what's the matter. And I said, there's nothing the matter. You're not supposed to see. That's not your gift. So stop trying to do it. And people who can see things, especially see things outside of themselves, have different perceptions, and they're kind of, no offense to anybody, but perceived as a little bit strange. Not that the rest of us aren't a little bit strange too, huh?
You mentioned fair. What do you do at the fairs?
I go to the metaphysical fairs. A lot of them in Austin and around Austin. Usually I take my crystals. I'm a crystal shop. If you go to my website at comestandinthelight.com, you have the option to go to crystals or services. And I usually take crystals to the fairs. I have salt lamps and selenite lamps and all kinds of different crystals and crystal jewelry. If it's not a crystal, it's not on my table. So except my new book. I also have the services side where I do the spirit clearings. I do readings and coaching. So if you're on your path and you're looking for somebody to help you out, that I can do that. I have packages available for discounts. I also do theta healing and Reiki. Reiki is actually how I got into the energy work to begin with, which is interesting. So you'll find your path in one way or another, and that'll lead you to where you need to go.
When you do the fairs, what type of reading do you do?
I usually do a consultation. People want to know, do I have any entities attached to me? If I do, what kind of entities? How many are there? How bad are they? What's it going to take to have them removed? I don't do the removal at the fair because that's way too intense. I have to do a lot more concentration than that, but I can check people. I can also do readings for them, and I can check them. I can check their families, their homes, their pets. I rely a lot on the pets because if there's some kind of portal or something, the pets will tell me where it is. Between spirit and the pets, I'm covered. I got my posse right there.
I've noticed that with my pets. They can see things.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, you already explained what the 6 gifts are. How do you learn to develop these gifts?
One of the ways is to make sure you pay attention to the energy that you're getting. If your gift is clear knowing, then figure out where you know things you're not supposed to and where that energy may be coming from. Is it coming from a person? Is it coming from an animal? Is it coming from an object? Paying more attention. Another way is to raise your vibration by meditating regularly. Have a meditation practice that you do on a regular basis. That helps. Another way is to find a coach or a class. Like when I was first starting out, I found this lady who teaches classes, and join a metaphysical class or find an individual coach, such as myself, who can offer you a package and you do several sessions and learn to develop those gifts. If you're not sure what your gifts are, your coach can help you identify those. Usually they can kind of ride along with you as you go through a journey, as you're seeing things for the first time or hearing things for the first time. They can support you and back you up and say, okay, and here's also what I got. The hardest part about this work is not knowing whether you're trying to make something up or whether you're actually getting information. It's called getting out of your own way. And that is a dickens to do. And it's hard for everybody, no matter how long you've been doing this. But the more confirmation that you can get that you are receiving this information with whatever gifts that you have, seeing or knowing or feeling, the more you can get the confirmation, the more confident you are with your gifts and the more they develop naturally. It's kind of like success breeds success. If you're on a diet and you lose 5 pounds, then you want to lose some more, So it's one of those kind of snowball effect things.
There have been times where I have ignored signs, and then when the event happens, I think I should have known. I was told this. I saw this. I smelled this. I knew this, and I ignored it because sometimes it happens in a split second.
Yeah, a lot of the times that's your guides and angels trying to tell you something. They're trying to warn you or give you protection or whatever. And it sounds like the little voice inside your head, how everybody knows that little voice inside their head, and they think it's their voice. And most of the time they can find a logical reason to ignore that voice. But that's not you. That's your support system. That's your guides and your angels saying, don't take this road. It's closed. So there's an accident down there. Or slow down. I had that. I was racing down one of the highways one time, and I looked down. I said, oh dear, I'm going way too fast. That wasn't me. That was my angels. I let up on the gas, and just as I did, I'd passed a police officer, and he got the guy next to me who didn't get that message from his guides and angels. So,
oh, you must have some really good guides and angels.
Well, with the entity removal, I have to have excellent guides and angels. A lot of people want me to teach them how to do this, but I don't want to put anybody in danger. I want to make sure that they can protect themselves before we venture down the dark path.
Do these guides and angels have names?
They have functions. They don't have names. Well, okay, guides probably do have names because guides have usually walked the earth before. And there are 5 guides that you have. You have a master teacher guide that is in charge of your overall education and your development throughout your lifetime. You have a doctor guide who is usually a doctor in a lifetime before this, and they're in charge of your physical well-being and your functionality. You have your alchemist guide who's in charge of your, let's say, your juices inside your body, your blood, your bile, your all the hormones that your glands generate. So let's say the alchemist is in charge of software and the doctor is in charge of hardware. So those are the first 3. The next one is your joy guide, and your joy guide is in charge of keeping you happy, keeping you organized, keeping you on the way you're supposed to be. When I had my first teacher, her joy guide was in charge of lining up souls that wanted to be channeled through her. And she'd just get this flood of souls coming in, and the joy guide would go, nope, 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 everybody line up, you're first, you sit down. And she would just take charge, and that joy guide just had things in hand so that the medium didn't get overwhelmed. And then your last guide is your protector guide, and that is one of the most important. Well, they're all important, of course, but protector guides generally tend to be warrior type things, Vikings, American Indians, samurais, things like that. So they are generally that way. They're in charge of your protection. So you can think back to a time where something almost happened and it didn't. And you can thank your protector guide for that because that's who that was keeping you safe. So those are your 5 guides. You have a team of angels. You have as many angels as you need at any time. Your angels can come in if something happens, you're depressed or you have an accident or you're injured or ill, and you need more angels. You don't even have to ask. They just automatically come in. And when you're back to normal, then the extra ones leave and your regular ones take over. Your angels are in charge of keeping you on your path, on your soul contract, getting you where you need to go so that you can learn the lessons that you need to learn and check those boxes so that you don't have to repeat the course. And we'd much rather do the course once than 3 or 4 times. If you don't get your lesson, these lessons come around again, a little harder and a little harsher each time. I have a client who's on his 5th lifetime, and he absolutely won't learn this lesson, absolutely refuses. And let me tell you, his lessons are hard and harsh, and he's still digging in his heels and yelling, no, no, no. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with him, but that's his choice. We all have our our free will.
What kind of lessons is he supposed to learn and he's ignoring?
I don't really know what these lessons are. And to be honest, there's kind of none of my beeswax. But I know that he was a leader. He was like a sergeant for several lifetimes, leading armies into battle and having his entire platoon wiped out. And all of these souls, as they died, would glom onto him. When I met him, he had 800 lost souls. 800, and the lost souls we call ghosts. They're souls. They're not evil or in any way trying to hurt anybody, but they're stuck. He had 800. That's a lot. Imagine having 800 people standing in your living room. They're going to cause some trouble. They don't mean to, but they're going to, right? So it may have something to do with leadership. It may have something to do with independence. I really couldn't say.
There are times in my life where I've met someone and had a bad feeling about that person without any evidence that they were a bad person. In a case like that, is it perhaps maybe my joy guide or my protector guide stepping in to tell me to stay away?
That's one possibility. What I find more often than not is that you've had several lifetimes with that person and you've been at odds with them each and every time. It may be a case of, hey, we've been married before, and we just didn't get along and we smacked each other around and we yelled at each other and made each other's life absolutely miserable. And now here you are again. And that actually happened to me with somebody who had actually killed me every lifetime we'd been together. And we ended up working together. And from the very first time his soul saw my soul, he just hated me, absolutely hated me. He's the one killing me. I wasn't killing him. So the question is, what do you do with that? And how do you come to terms energetically to diffuse that situation? I guess we'll find out next lifetime, won't we?
You wrote a book. Tell us the title of the book.
My book is called Becoming the Entity Doctor, A Guide to Discovering the Spiritual World. And it is part memoir of what I went through and part how to raise your vibration, how to get you started on your path. And it's funny because I had another practitioner that I like to work with read it. And she said, well, I wished I had this when I was starting out, but I still got a lot out of it. So a lot of people say it's for both the novice and also the more experienced spiritual practitioner. And it gives you a lot of what I had to go through, what you might expect to go through or something similar so that you know you're not alone. Oh my God, I'm on my spiritual path and now I've been sick all the time. What is that? Am I not doing something right? No, you're raising your vibration too quickly. You're not able to adapt that fast, and that will make you sick. That happened to me a lot, especially as I was learning the process of clearing negative entities, because let's face it, they fight back. I wasn't necessarily able to disseminate all of that negative energy coming at me. So after the clearing, I would be sick for a day or two, or sometimes a week or two, depending upon how that went. So if you tend to encounter that when your vibration is rising, then no, you're not alone. That happens to the best of us, can I say. A lot of different trials and tribulations that I went through so that you know what you might experience. Now, nobody's path is the same as anybody else's, but it just gives you an example.
Where can we find your book?
My book is on Amazon. I have both hard copy and ebook. And just a couple days ago, my Audible book came out. So we have it that you can listen to it on your way to work if you like.
Oh, is it your voice?
No, it's not my voice. I did try. I was going to do it myself and found out I'm a little too Texan.
You didn't like your own voice, right?
Yeah.
None of us like our own voice.
Well, I didn't think it was professional enough. And Audible has a very strict standard so that when you buy a book from Audible, you will get the best book that they are able to deliver to you, which is great. And I wasn't sure with my technological background, I was able to do that. So between the two of them, I said, well, let's go ahead and hire somebody who's professional and knows what they're doing. So Sarah Andrews is the one who did the reading for me. And she's not Texan at all.
What I'll do is I'm going to put your Amazon link in the episode notes so that people can find you. And you mentioned you have a website. What's the name of your website?
My website is Come Stand in the Light. come, C-O-M-E, stand in the light. So you can join me and you can find your favorite crystals and you can get a check for your entities and see if there's anything you need to do, or if you want to develop your skills. I'm here for you at Come. We invite you to comestandinthelight.com.
All your services that you provide are listed on your website?
They are, yes. I can do animal communication if you want to know what your dog or cat is thinking, your horse, your monkey. And I work with people too. So
do you also work with our loved ones who have passed away or our pets who have passed away?
Absolutely, yes. As long as they want to. I mean, I can't force anybody. I had a friend whose sister and brother-in-law died, and she adopted their children. And she was saying, well, I want to know what they're expecting from me as the parent. You know, they were in their early teens, and so they needed a lot of guidance. And so we tuned into the sister, and one request that she had was, when there's a big event, when there's Hanukkah, when there's a prom, when there's whatever, make sure that when you take their picture, put a picture of us with them. And they just wanted to be included. They were asking, please just include us. Don't let them forget about us, and don't let them forget that we love them so much. And I'm sure that both of the parents, the deceased parents, so they're guiding not only the children, but the new parents as well. That's a tough spot. But yeah, I can generally tune in to the deceased loved one, the dog or the cat or the grandpa, whoever you want to talk to.
And I'm sure a lot of people seek you out for that.
Sometimes, not as much as for the entities. The entities are kind of my specialty.
That's your specialty. The one that was chosen for you, right?
That's right. The one that I'm supposed to be doing, yeah. Whether you want to or not. But I can do, the readings and the coaching and everything. And I do channel spirit. It's funny because my clients think I'm just the smartest person in the world. And it's like, okay, I'm channeling spirit here. I'm giving you their words. I'm not telling you my opinion of things. So just know that you're not getting the Cindy part. You're getting the spirit part, because that's important.
But that's a real compliment if they think you're so smart, because you're giving them the information that they need, and it's giving you credibility.
Thank you. I've had somebody tell me that I'm very, very accurate. And I'm like, well, great, because spirit knows what's going on with you, and they love you and they care about you and they want you to have the best time of it. They want you to find your joy. So they're here for you. And if I can be their interpreter, then I am honored and privileged to do that for you.
If someone listening right now wants to raise their vibration, what advice would you give them? Something they can work on right away.
Right away, the most important part is to notice the energy around you. Be aware of the energy around you. Be aware of thoughts that come to you. You can have this absolutely brilliant thought and go, oh my God, I'm so brilliant. No, that wasn't you. I'm sorry. No offense to you, but that was your guides and angels. Be aware of that part. That's number one. Number two is start meditating, start quieting your mind. And I know a lot of people, especially in this day and age, have a lot of trouble quieting their minds. Too much technology, too much going on. They're wearing 50 hats and trying to wrestle everything to the ground. But if you let a lot of that go for just 15 minutes a day, just take some time for you and relax your mind, see what comes in. Because your guides and angels may be trying to tell you something quite desperately and you're just not listening because you don't know. So that's one way to raise your vibration.
Is there anything else you would like to tell the audience before we finish our interview?
Just that you are not alone. You have a team of guides and angels with you at all times, and they are here to help you out. There are a lot of practitioners out there, such as myself, the entity doctor, or mediums, or others that are also here to help you out. I do caution you to, again, be aware of what you're feeling when you're talking to people, because there are some people that claim to be practitioners that are not on the up and up. And sometimes they kind of want to get into your auric field and steal your energy and do some nasty things. So listen to your tummy. Okay. So everybody, I want you to sit up in your chair and put your feet flat on the floor. I want you to take a nice deep cleansing breath, gather together everything that doesn't serve you, and I want you to blow it out hard. Do that again. Take a nice deep cleansing breath, gather anything that's left over that doesn't serve you, blow it out hard. Now, focus on the question that you have, whatever question that you want to know about. Now visualize yourself in 6 months with one of the outcomes that you're thinking about, and tune into your tummy. How does your tummy feel? Does it feel happy? Is it kind of gurgling and mad and grumpy? How does your tummy feel? Now wipe that image away. Same question. Go to the other outcome in 6 months. Visualize yourself in that other scenario. Tune into your tummy. How does your tummy feel? You can do this yourself. We all have intuition. We all have guides and angels. We all have protection. We just have to understand how to enlist it, how to activate it, how to respect and honor it. And a lot of people want to know, what is my purpose here? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And I'm going to give you one answer for everybody on the planet. 3 words: to find joy. When you find your joy, you're feeding your angels, you're getting in touch with your spiritual side, you're raising your vibration, and let's face it, you're having a lot more fun than complaining.
Thank you for that exercise.
Thank you. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Great to meet you. So everybody, we invite you to come standinthelight.com.
Thank you for joining us for Witchcasting with Theodora Pendragon. Have a burning question or have a topic you'd love Theodora and her guests to discuss on the show? Contact her through Instagram at Theodora Pendragon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And help us spread the word by leaving us a rating and review and sharing it with your friends. See you next time, and may your magic always shine.